In this video, I am going to share 9 key ideas, 9 key steps which you need to follow in order for you to realize your own financial freedom. If you are one of those individuals who has been interested in finding a clear path in which you are going to use for you to realize your own financial freedom, then this is the right video for you. But there are two caveats. This video is going to take 20 to 30 minutes of your time, and secondly, I am going to do the best I can to ensure at least you have found some value out of this video. So if you are interested in this kind of videos, just go ahead, subscribe, like, and also you can share if you find some value out of this with those individuals who may be in need of this content. The first step which you need to ensure is in the right place is your saving culture. If you are going to build any financial muscle and financial wealth, you should always ensure that you always spend less than you earn. There's no way which you are going to come up with an excess amount which you are going to use to invest, build an emergency fund if you don't have a saving culture in place. No matter how much interest you are going to gain from your own investments, whether it is 10%, 5%, 20%, or 30%, if you are not going to save some extra amount, then the journey of you building your own financial freedom is going to be a challenging one. So ensure from now moving forward, you have a saving plan in place. You are going to save on a regular basis. It is not supposed to be seasonal. No matter the amount which you are going to start with, whether it is 5 shillings, whether it is $10, whether it's 100 Kenyan shillings, save it on a regular basis. This plan is going to ensure that at least you are going to build a decent amount of money for a long period of time, some of which you are going to use for investment in either stocks, bonds, real estate, or whichever investment vehicle which you are going to get interested in. Ensure that discipline is in place, consistency on a regular basis is going to uplift you out of your challenging times. The second thing which you need to have in place is that ensure that you are going to stay in the stock market, either in the real estate market for a long period of time, and you are not trying to time the market. That is, I mean, you should trust in time rather than trying to time the market. If you have tried timing the market, you are probably a victim. You will realize that timing the market it's not something which is going to be done consistently over a long period of time. For you staying in the market for a long period of time, you are always going to ensure that the risk which you expose yourself to is going to be reduced and the returns are also going to be increasing. So for those individuals who are interested whether to invest in the bond market, in the stock market, in the real estate market, the time which you are going to spend in the stock market or in these investment vehicles, if you are going to spend a longer period of time, it's going to reduce the risk which you are going to be exposed to, and it's going to increase the returns which you are likely going to earn from your own investments. So I am not saying that you can't time the market. You can time the market. There are individuals who are lucky to time the market, but it's not something which can be done consistently for a long period of time and by most people. So timing the market, it's not something which you should try to, but staying in the market for a long period of time is something which is going to ensure you become successful. To quote or to paraphrase what Charlie Munger said, one of the questions which he is being asked, which he used to be being asked, is that how can I get rich but for a short period of time? And this is a recipe for a disaster. If you want to make sure that you reap great benefits when it comes to your investment, ensure the investment which you are going to make, you are going to make it for a long period of time. For the stock market, I encourage individuals should invest with a time frame of between 5 to with a time frame at a minimum of 5 years. If you are going to day trade for a short period of time, then you are going to pay a lot of expenses when it comes to taxes, capital gains, and probably you are going to be caught off guard and you are going to make a lot of losses. So I don't encourage individuals to participate in day trading or to invest for their long-term purposes, for the short-term purposes. If you are going to invest for the short-term purposes, there are some industries which are appropriate for doing that, and that's what we are going to discuss in a few steps, which I'm actually facing this point. Another thing which you need to trust or which you need to be aware of is the compound interest. Compound interest is going to be one of the key factors which is going to ensure at least the resources which you are going to put either in the stock market, in the real estate market, or even in your education. If you are going to educate yourself, they are going to increase as time goes by. And basically, what does the compound interest mean? The compound interest means that the interest which is actually gained from your initial principal is also going to gain some interest. So, as Albert Einstein said, the sixth wonder or the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. A good example which I got from some book is that if $1 was invested in 1800 in the United States stock, and an 8% return was actually based on this $1. By 2013, this could have been $18 million. So that's the magic of compound interest. Always ensure that the compound interest is going to work in your favor and not against your favor. If it's going to work against your favor, then you are going to lose a lot of fortune either in the stock market or maybe in your eating habits. You are going to trade. Your health is going to deteriorate and it's going to act in a negative manner. So ensure compound interest actually works in your favor, more especially when it comes to investing either in your health, in the real estate, in the stock market, in whichever industry which you are interested to pursue. That's something which you need to have in back of your mind. Another thing which you need to ensure, live a modest life. If you have read this book, I believe most individuals tend to despise this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You will realize that there is this idea of Jones and Joneses, where individuals try to keep up with the things which maybe their neighbors are doing on a regular basis. And this will render you as an individual who is going to have a lot of material things, but not material wealth when it comes to the assets. So if you want to avoid these things, more especially when it comes to keeping up with the Jones and Joneses, ensure you live a modest life. Also, there's this book known as The Millionaire Next Door. You will realize that when this book was written, most of the individuals who were thought to be rich were not actually rich. The individuals who really had some assets, decent assets in place, were individuals who were living a modest life. They were living in, we can say, a decent neighborhood without them living in those extravagant places where they were forced to use a lot of resources they used to, where they could have been forced to keep up with their neighbors. So if you are going to live or to build a decent asset to create your own wealth, ensure you live a modest lifestyle, which is not going to force you to keep up with the Jones and Joneses. Another thing which you need to have in place in order to ensure at least you have built your own financial freedom is cover yourself with cash and insurance. There's this thoughts or mentions which individuals tend to say that what was bound to happen will happen. That's true, but at the end of the day, you need also to prepare yourself for unprepared circumstances. That's where having cash in place or an insurance is going to assist you. For example, let's say if your car gets into an accident, if you don't have an insurance in place, then your life is actually destroyed. That's why you need to have some of the insurance in place, and maybe for the day-to-day activities, you need to have your cash in place, which is going also to caution you. For example, if you have an emergency, for example, you get sick, you need to see a doctor, you need to go to an hospital, and also this cash is going to caution you. So ensure you always have this insurance in place, whether it is for your house, for your kids if you are married, or your family member, or you can have your personal insurance. For example, if you are a single person, these are going to caution you more, especially when things which were unplanned for tend to happen in our lives, because at the end of the day, they do happen. Not when will not will they happen, but when will they happen? So those are some of the questions which you need to have in place. And also cash is going to ensure at least your day-to-day activities run in a smooth manner and you don't have some constraints or challenges, more especially if the stock market is down or the real estate is not performing as well as you expected. This cash is going to caution you and prevent you from making erroneous mistakes when it comes to the investments which you have in place, such that it will not disturb the issue which we have already discussed, the compound interest. So you really need to be aware to have some extra cash and also some insurance in place. Another thing which you need to be careful of if you want to build some wealth is be competitive. And what do I mean by being competitive? Ensure any investment which you are going to make, whether you are having some cash in place, these are not going to be destroyed. Whether it is cash, they are not going to be destroyed by inflation, which means if you have some cash maybe which you want to use in the next 1 year, in the next 5 years, you should put them in some investments which are going to ensure they gain some interest and at the same time they are in a position to beat inflation. You can have this cash, for example, in a money market fund, a certificate of deposit, or treasury bills, which are going to ensure they have maintained their purchasing power, and on top of that they have some interest on top of that. So ensure you are in a competitive place, that is your investments are in a competitive place and they are not going to lose their value to low inflation. So be always be competitive. Another key ideas which you need to realize for you to create your own financial freedom or to create a path towards financial success is learn to dodge the tax collector or the taxman. And by that I mean not illegally but legally. For example, I have read somewhere in the United States where that individuals, for example, if you make some losses in the stock market, you can go ahead and file some taxes reductions by you considering the losses which you made in the stock market. So if there are these kind of loopholes, they are going to ensure at least you have some extra cash which you can use to invest. And also there's kind of a judge who I read who said that individuals, you are required not to pay extra cash or extra resources in terms of taxes such that you are patriotic, but you as an individual should ensure you have paid the minimum required amount to the government. So that should be your approach when it comes to taxes. If there are some loopholes which you can use legally in order to avoid taxes, then go ahead and utilize them. And that's the only way which you are going to ensure you have some extra cash which you are going to use for investment. So use those loopholes, ask your financial advisors, and you are going to make some great benefits when it comes to you having a path towards your own financial freedom. Another thing which you need to ensure is make sure that the shoe you wear fits yourself, fits your foot. And what do I mean by that? When you are going to make any investment journey or any investment procedure, understand what you are getting yourself into. If you are going to invest in stocks, what do you understand about stocks? Have you read their history? Do you understand that stocks can actually reduce its value from 100 shillings to 1 shillings in a short period of time? Ensure that you realize what you are getting yourself into. Otherwise, you could end up making some erroneous mistakes when things turn out not to be as you expected. There's, I believe, one individual. I believe he was a friend of Andrew Carnegie, and he explained to Andrew Carnegie that he was having sleepless nights and he was unable to sleep because he watched his portfolio and it was reducing nand again. And Andrew Carnegie's advice was that you need to sell that stock portfolio up to your sleeping point. So if you are one of those individuals who have some challenges, more especially when it comes to observing your stock portfolio reducing on a regular basis and you are uncomfortable when it comes into that situation, ensure you adjust appropriately. Move your portfolio to the extent you are able to sustain the volatility which is associated, whether it's the stock market or a bond market, real estate market, or some correctables. So understand the industry which you are interested in investing in, understand its history, and you will be in a good position to avoid some mistakes which will may end up costing you a lot. So understand the investment vehicle, whether you are able to sustain for a long period of time, and if you are unable, then seek some appropriate investment journeys, whether it's a money market fund, a certificate of deposit, which you can utilize in order for you to realize a good, decent financial return without making some erroneous mistakes. And finally, the step which you need to follow for you to realize a decent financial journey, or how you are going to create your own financial freedom, is buy a home. This has been an argument, more especially when it comes to the Kenyan market, where individuals have been arguing whether one should buy a home or should invest in stocks. And the final decision or the final answer really depends to every individual. But my own encouragement or my own thoughts should be always that if you are in a position to acquire a decent home in a decent location, just go ahead and acquire that property, because nothing is actually going to satisfy you, more especially when it comes that you are in a position to feed your own family, to reside in your own property, and you are not being pushed around by either a mortgage or a landlord. That is a nice place to be. And at the same time, you need to realize that if that place is in a decent location, real estate will always increase in its value as long as human beings are going to multiply on this planet. So it's not an argument whether you should invest in stocks or you should buy a home. If you are in a position to have your own home, just go ahead and do it as fast or as quick as possible, and you are going to ensure at least you have built your own wealth for consistently for a long period of time, and you will be in a position not to be forced to make some adjustments because you are unable to pay some rent or you are being pushed by your mortgage. So those are the things which can be avoided if you are in a position to acquire your own property or your own home. And that comes up to the conclusion of this video. Those are some of the things which you need to ensure if you are going to build a sustainable wealth for a long period of time consistently. It's not an overnight success, it's something which is going to be faced by a lot of mistakes. But at the end of the day, if you are disciplined, you're going to do these things on a constantly regular basis, then at the end of the day, you are assured that the odds will be in your favor. So I would like your thoughts in the comment section, whether you found some value out of this video and what do you expect me in the next video to actually do on. My name has been Monsieur Augustine. If you are interested in this kind of videos, remember to subscribe, like, and also don't forget to share. See you in my next one.